every 250 years there's been a shift from the east to the west or from the north to the south. No country stays great forever. And the United States has actually had 400 years of greatness. And we have been a leading power since the 40s. And we have actually outstayed our welcome as the top dog. I don't know if, and this is hard as an American for me to say, but when you go back and read what happened to the Medes, the Persians, the Romans, what happened to the Chinese, the Mongols, what happened to these countries was after 250 years, somebody else that was bigger and badder came along and took their side. I'll get into that in a minute. What I wanted to say is, if we don't have the favor of God, church, we're going to go under. We will never be what we once were. Just because we fly the stars and stripes don't make us great. No country stays great without God's hand being upon them. We have got to have the Lord. Amen. Build tanks and trains and airplanes, but that won't matter if God's favor is not with us. Let's look at all the coincidences. And this is just, hey, I could go on for 15 minutes about the parallels between America and Rome. I just put some of the bigger ones on the wall here. Both of them were superpowers. Both of them occupied the Middle East. Both of them dealt with the Jewish people and with Israel. Both of them had a Capitol Hill where their Senate met. Both Rome and America had two political parties. Both of them used the eagle as their emblem. Both of them fought wars over slavery. Both of them passed laws, and here's a big one, church, allowing the killing of infants. Both countries passed laws. I don't know if you saw that. I just had a discussion briefly with Sister Dreama. I don't know how many of you saw that we are now not only supporting abortions in this country, but President Obama just signed a bill to where we're sending money to other countries to fund abortions over there now. If they can't afford abortions, we're going to pay for them. So you and I, our tax dollars are now going to pay for foreign abortions to take place. And the National Health Care Bill, I don't know how many of you saw it, if you're going to have health care in this country, they're going to force the medical insurance companies to fund abortions. It's going to become a law that they have to. So both of them passed laws to protect the advancement of the gay lifestyle. It became so bad in Rome that the men began dressing like women trying to get out of the military, and they got so bad that in the streets of Rome they couldn't tell the difference between most men and women because the men were dressing outwardly like women. This was the laws that they had passed to support the gay lifestyle. Both of Rome and the United States, and this one hurts me to say it, church, but they both built huge stadiums for sporting events. I'll get to that in a minute. Both of them became obsessed with luxury. Why do you think that most people are maxed out on their credit cards? It's not because they were buying groceries and things they had to have. It's because they wanted a bigger television set. It's because they wanted a newer car. Can somebody say amen? We become obsessed with luxuries. In both countries, athletes were the highest paid individuals in the empire. Please understand something. I've been an athlete my entire life. I enjoy watching my sports, but it does make me sick to think that the people that are teaching my children make $30,000 a year, and these guys make $30,000 a play. It hurts my heart to know that there are people out there playing a game that we played as kids for free and for enjoyment, and they make more than the president. Come on, church. Something's out of balance. I'm not knocking them. They ought to take every dime they'll give them. I'm saying we shouldn't give it to them. Somebody say amen. We just shouldn't be paying these people to play a game. On any given Sunday, they're playing at Pittsburgh up at Heinz Field, and those people are making more money than the doctors trying to save your life. Come on, church, something's out of balance here. Then the soldiers fighting for our freedom. Something's out of balance here. These guys are playing a game. They're driving a car real fast. They're making more money than anybody else in the country. The people that make policy, the people that teach our children, the people that save our lives don't make near what these people who are playing games. Something's out of balance, church. In both countries, we accepted Eastern religions into our societies. Both countries took a national census. Now, again, I could have went on and on and on. I found this picture and I thought it was fitting. This, you know, American Gothic. You know the picture of American Gothic. This is the new American Gothic. I don't know if you've seen what happened. I don't know if you saw what happened in Iowa, but Iowa, I can't believe Iowa, white bread Iowa, passed this gay marriage bill. Iowa. I would have thought New York. I would have thought for sure California. I would have thought, even Connecticut, Delaware, some of these places that these Democrats have a stronghold. But Iowa? I can't believe that Iowa, of all places, this is the signs of the time, church, where we're passing laws to accept things that we know God says is an abomination. We've got to understand the day in which we're living. Can I tell you something about what happened in Rome's final hours, and see if you see any parallels with where you're living? Taxes in Rome became so high, people stopped having children. Nero had 400 senators under him that stopped having kids because they couldn't afford to pay taxes any longer. See, Rome decided that in order for them to fund their lifestyle, they would just raise taxes. Instead of cutting back the lifestyle, they would just raise taxes. But the problem became that Roman taxes became so high that Roman citizens started losing their homes because they couldn't afford to pay for them. Does that sound like 2009 in the United States of America? The Roman military spent all their money keeping peace not in Rome but around the world. Come on, somebody. How many trillions have we thrown in Afghanistan and in Iraq? Come on now. Keeping peace around the world, they threw all their money into that. Taxes were raised to support the military, to build bridges and roads. And it eventually became so expensive for farmers that they started selling their land. They quit farming and started selling their land, and only rich people could afford to buy land. So you had land barons that had thousands upon multiplied thousands of acres, and nobody could afford to build a house anymore. The taxes became so high that the people all started leaning on the government for help, to the point that the Roman government passed a law that you weren't allowed to quit your job and go on government welfare, because they needed everybody working to pay taxes. Amen? They became so tolerant toward every religion in the world. This was in Rome's final hour. Hear me well, church. This was when Rome was going down. The light was about to flicker for the last time. When Rome started accepting every religion in the world, and they became tolerant of every belief except Christianity. Yeah. The only belief that they would not have tolerance for was Christianity. They would persecute Christians, but allow every other culture to come in and bring their religions in. Here's a book written called The Fall of the Roman Empire. The Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire. And in this book, the author outlined 5 reasons that great civilizations die. Number 1, the undermining of the sanctity of the home. The undermining of the sanctity of the home. When no one seems to carry the home as precious any longer, the country's going down. Number 2, higher taxes. Can I tell you this morning, and I'm not a politician, and I hardly ever preach anything like this. A lot of people get turned off when preachers preach. I don't understand why anybody would get turned off when preachers, we're supposed to be the watchman on the wall. We're supposed to be the one sounding the alarm. We're supposed to be the one telling our leaders, the prophets in the Old Testament didn't keep their mouths shut. They went to the king. If I remember correctly, Elijah went right to the king's palace and said, Ahab, you need to hear what God said. If I remember right, Moses walked right into Pharaoh's court and said, let God's people go. So I think we're supposed to be the mouthpiece. Can I tell you that I never have bought the idea that we need higher taxes? Because our problem is not having enough tax money. It's how our tax money is spent. I don't think that tax money, a less amount of tax money or more amount will help, because you can give more crack to a crack addict and it don't help out. And our economy is based like a meth addict getting more meth. It will satisfy the hunger for just a little while, but then it goes away, it subsides. Throwing money in our economy just gets reabsorbed, and it doesn't help a thing. It's not that we need to raise taxes, we just need to spend our tax money smarter. The problem is, once we pay our tax money and give it to our legislators, all they know how to do is spend, spend, spend. They send out messages on television by billboards about feed the pig. They they want you and I to start saving money. Washington's never saved a dime. They've never given us an example of how to, I probably shouldn't be telling. They've never given us a good leadership example of how to save money. They spend everything, want to jack your taxes up so they can spend more. Amen. Even in a downward economy, have they cut anything? No, they've raised spending. And they don't have any money to spend. Their money to spend is your money and my money. They don't have their own. They're not generating anything in Washington. Let me put to you this way. Let me just put to you this way. Our economy right now, and I'll get into this just a little bit deeper in a minute. Our economy right now on the surface is 40 trillion. Now last Sunday I broke down how much a trillion was. Remember how phenomenal those numbers were? We're on the surface $40 trillion in debt. You realize if you had a company